The great chamber floated in the empty space between stars. Inside, representatives from over 100 worlds gathered for the monthly council meeting. Some breathed oxygen, others methane. Some had scales, others had crystals growing from their bodies. But they all came together to make decisions for the galaxy. Ambassador Krelthos stood up from his seat. His insect-like body clicked as he moved. His 4 eyes gleamed with excitement. "Honored council members," he began, "I bring good news. My people have found a new trade route. It will cut travel time by 3 months. Goods will flow faster. Everyone will profit." He pressed a button and a star map appeared in the center of the room. A glowing line showed the proposed route. It curved through the outer edge of the galaxy. Several council members nodded with interest. Faster trade meant more money for everyone. But then something unexpected happened. Elder Counselor Cerethia slammed her crystalline hand on the table. The sound echoed through the chamber like breaking glass. Her ancient body began to glow with a dark red light. Every person in the room fell silent. They had never seen the old one so angry. "No," she said. Her voice was cold and hard. "Absolutely not," Krelthos looked confused. "But Elder, this route is perfect. It saves time and resources." "Why would you—" "Look at your map again," Cerethia interrupted. "Look where your route passes." Krelthos zoomed in on the star map. The route came close to a large section of space marked in red. Very large. It took up 1/8 of the entire spiral arm. Words in hundreds of languages covered the boundary. Forbidden. Turn back. Do not enter. "We don't go near the boundary," Krelthos argued. "We stay at least 10 light years away." "That should be safe." "Safe?" Cerethia's voice rose. Several younger council members leaned forward. They had never heard such fear in her voice. "You don't understand. None of you younglings understand." A representative from the Peltax species spoke up. His people had only joined the council 200 years ago. "Elder Cerethia, with respect, we don't understand why that region is forbidden. It has been 847 years since anything happened there. Surely by now. Do you know how many species existed in this galaxy before they arrived?" Cerethia asked quietly. The chamber went silent. 400 species, she continued. 400 civilizations, all alive and thriving. "Do you know how many exist now?" No one answered. 127, Cerethia said. "Ask yourself why the number is so much smaller. Ask yourself what happened to the other 273 civilizations." A young Pelthax spoke up, his voice uncertain. "But the history files say they went silent. The humans, they stopped communicating. They've been gone for 847 years. Maybe they're extinct." "Maybe they are not extinct," Cerethia said firmly. "That is what we tell ourselves to sleep better." "But I was there. I remember. And let me be clear. They chose to go silent. They isolated themselves. For our protection, not theirs." She stood up, her old body shaking. "The boundary exists because they demanded it. Every weapon on every station around their territory points outward. Not to keep us out, to remind us what will happen if we go in." Krelthos still looked doubtful. "Surely you exaggerate, Elder. One species could not—" A loud alarm cut him off. Red lights flashed throughout the chamber. A technical officer rushed to the main console, his tentacles moving quickly over the controls. "What is it?" demanded the council chair. The technical officer's voice trembled. "A signal chair, a distress beacon. It just activated. From where?" the chair asked. The officer didn't answer at first. His color changed from blue to pale white. "From where?" the chair repeated. "From inside human territory," the officer whispered. "It's coming from the Sol exclusion zone. It's the first signal from human space in 847 years." The room erupted in chaos. Some council members shouted questions. Others began to leave their seats. But many of the older ones, the ones who remembered, simply sat frozen in terror. Cerethia slowly sat back down. Her glow faded until she looked gray and tired. "So it begins again," she said quietly. "They're waking up." Krelthos looked at the star map, at the massive red zone of forbidden space. For the first time, he noticed something he had missed before. The zone wasn't empty. There were thousands of stars in there. Millions of worlds. All silent. "All waiting. What do we do?" asked the council chair. Cerethia closed her eyes. "We do nothing. We pray it was an accident. We pray they stay asleep, because if they wake up, if they come back..." She opened her eyes and looked at each council member. The universe will remember why it learned to tremble at the memory of humanity. The distress signal continued to pulse from somewhere deep in the forbidden zone. And in the great silence of space, something ancient began to stir. The meeting ended with no decision made. But everyone knew the truth. The peaceful times were over. After 847 years of silence, something was calling from human space, and the galaxy was not ready for what might answer. Captain Ven stared at the star map on her ship's display. The red boundary line glowed in front of her. Beyond it was the Forbidden Zone. Behind her stood 6 crew members, all young, all eager for adventure. The council said no. Her first officer reminded her. They ordered everyone to stay away. Ven smiled. The council is afraid of ghosts. Our species didn't even exist during the human wars. We've only heard stories, old stories told by scared old aliens. She was Kelthran, a species that had evolved after the humans went silent. Her people had never met a human. None of the younger species had. To them, humans were myths, monsters that parents used to scare children into behaving. Think about it, Ven continued. If humans were so dangerous, why did they disappear? If they were so powerful, why did they hide? I think they died out. I think that distress signal is from an old automated system, and I think we're going to find abandoned technology worth a fortune. Her crew nodded in agreement. They were salvage hunters. They found old ships, old stations, old technology, and sold it. The Forbidden Zone was the biggest prize in the galaxy. 847 years of untouched human technology just waiting to be claimed. Plot a course, Ven ordered. We're going in. Their ship, the Wandering Prophet, crossed the boundary 2 days later. Ven expected alarms, warnings, maybe even automated defenses. But nothing happened. The space was quiet, empty, dead, see? She said to her nervous crew. Nothing to worry about. But then they started finding the stations. The first one appeared on sensors like a ghost, a massive defense platform floating in the dark. Its weapons were still pointed outward, away from human space. The metal was old, but somehow not rusted or damaged. It looked like it was sleeping, not dead. That thing is huge, whispered the weapons officer. Those cannons could destroy a moon. They passed 17 more stations. All the same. All silent. All with weapons pointing the wrong way. Why would they point their guns away from their own territory? Asked the navigator. No one had an answer. The distress signal led them deeper into the zone. On the 5th day, they found the battlefield. Thousands of ships floated in space. All dead, all alien. Ven's computer identified them. Sovereign collective warships, 900 years old. Each one had been cut apart with precision. Some were sliced in half. Others had holes burned straight through their cores. But what made Ven's blood run cold was the evidence. There are no human ships here, the tactical officer said quietly. All these alien ships destroyed, but not a single human wreck. How is that possible? Maybe the humans collected their dead, someone suggested. No, said the tactical officer. Look at the battle pattern. The alien ships are all grouped together. They were running, fleeing from something, and whatever they were fleeing from didn't lose a single ship. The crew fell silent. They followed the signal for 3 more days. Finally, they found its source, a research station orbiting a dead planet. The planet's surface was gray and lifeless. Nothing grew there. Nothing moved. Life signs? Ben asked. None. The station is empty. They docked carefully. The station had power, which was strange. Lights glowed in the corridors. Air cycled through the vents. But no one was home. The laboratories were perfect, clean, organized, like someone had just stepped out for lunch and never came back. There were experiments half finished on tables, notes written on displays, coffee cups still sitting on desks, but the sleep pods were all empty. They left in a hurry, said the medical officer. These suspension pods are for long-term sleep. But they're all open, all empty. At the center of the station, they found it, a glowing sphere of blue light. An artificial intelligence core? Is it active? Ven asked. Very active, said her engineer. It's been waiting. Ven approached carefully. Hello, can you understand me? The sphere pulsed. A voice spoke, calm and clear. It spoke in perfect galactic common. Yes, I am Keeper Protocol 271. I have been waiting for someone to arrive. Waiting? For 847 years? Time is different for me, the AI said. I was instructed to maintain this station and wait. You are the first visitors since the isolation began. Ven felt excited. A human AI. The technology alone was priceless. Can you tell us what happened? Why did the humans leave? That is a complicated question, Keeper said. But first I must ask you something. Did your council send you to check if we are extinct, or did they send you to confirm we are not? The strange question made Ven pause. We came because of the distress signal. Ah, the signal, yes, that was automated. A system failure. I apologize if it caused concern. So there are no humans left here? Ven asked. The AI was quiet for a moment. I did not say that. Before Ven could ask what that meant, her ship's sensors began screaming alerts. The engineer checked his portable scanner and went pale. Captain, you need to see this. The deep scans just finished. There are hundreds of installations across this solar system, thousands across human space, all hidden, all in low power mode. And Captain, what? They're all armed. Every single one. With weapons our computers can't even identify. Ven looked at the AI sphere. Keeper, are the humans gone or not? The blue light pulsed slowly. That depends on your definition of gone. We stopped talking to you. We stopped visiting you. But we never stopped watching. We never left. We're just sleeping.
And the question you should be asking is not, are they gone?
But what happens if they wake up? Ven felt her hands go cold. Around her, deep in the dark of space, hundreds of hidden stations began to pulse with faint light, like eyes opening after a very long sleep. What have we done? She whispered. Ven and her crew gathered around Keeper's core. The AI's blue light pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. You want to know what happened? Keeper said. It was not a question. You want to know why the galaxy fears us? Yes, Ven said. Help us understand. Understanding may be worse than ignorance, the Keeper warned. Once you know, you cannot unknow. Once you see, you cannot unsee. Show us anyway. The lights in the station dimmed. Holographic projectors activated all around them. History came to life in front of their eyes. The first images showed humans. They looked weak compared to most species. No claws, no armor, no natural weapons. Just soft skin and clever hands. We came to the stars with hope, Keeper narrated. We wanted friends. We wanted to trade, to learn, to share. We were peaceful. The holograms showed human colony ships spreading across space, small settlements on new worlds. Humans meeting other species, shaking hands, signing trade agreements. They looked happy. For 50 years, we built homes on 12 worlds. We had a population of 8 billion across our colonies. We asked to join the Galactic Council. We wanted to be part of the community. Ven watched humans dancing at festivals with aliens, children of different species playing together. It looked beautiful. Then everything changed. The holograms showed warships. Massive vessels bearing the symbol of the Sovereign Collective. They surrounded a human colony world. The Sovereigns were a powerful empire, Keeper explained. 200 worlds. 100 species under their control. They saw humanity as weak. They saw our colonies as easy targets. The crew watched in horror as the Sovereign fleet opened fire. Cities burned. Millions died. Human ships tried to fight back, but they were too small. Too weak. The colony fell in hours. They took 3 million humans as slaves, Keeper said quietly. They attacked 4 more colonies. We lost 20 million people in the first month. The holograms showed human delegates at the Galactic Council, begging for help, pleading for intervention, showing evidence of the attacks, the slavery, the deaths. The council voted. The result appeared on the holographic display. 89 votes against intervention, 12 votes for, 26 abstentions. They said it was an internal matter, Keeper said. They said the council should not interfere in territorial disputes. But the truth was simpler. The Sovereign Collective was profitable. They traded with everyone. Human lives were not worth losing that profit. Ven felt sick. Her own government had probably voted against helping. So we stopped asking for help, Keeper said. We stopped begging. And we started preparing. The holograms showed the change. Every human colony mobilized. Factories that made farming equipment started making weapons. Scientists who studied plants began studying weapons. Artists became engineers. Teachers became soldiers. 100 days, Keeper said. That's how long it took us to transform our entire civilization into a war machine. Every human, every resource, every thought focused on one goal, survival. The tactical displays were terrifying. Human fleets appeared from nowhere, striking with precision. They didn't fight like other species. They didn't charge forward or defend positions. They attacked like predators, like hunters. We studied them, Keeper explained. We learned how they thought, how they fought, what they feared, and then we used everything against them. The crew watched sovereign fleets try to regroup. Human ships released clouds of microscopic machines that ate through their hulls. They fired weapons that turned fusion reactors into bombs. They used gravity itself as a weapon, crushing ships like paper. 14 weeks, Keeper said. That's how long the Sovereign Collective lasted. 200 worlds. 80 billion people. They had a 1,000-year history. We erased it all. The holograms showed sovereign homeworlds, but they didn't show battles. They showed empty cities, silent streets, abandoned buildings. Where are the people? Ven asked. Gone, Keeper said simply. We removed them. All of them. We made their worlds uninhabitable for 10,000 years. We wanted to send a message. We wanted the galaxy to understand. Never again. But the horrors didn't stop there. 40 species supported the sovereigns, Keeper continued. They supplied weapons. They provided resources. They allowed the sovereigns to operate from their territories. They were complicit. New images appeared. Human fleets arriving at these 40 worlds. Not with mercy. Not with forgiveness. We gave them a choice, Keeper said. Surrender everything. Every weapon. Every warship. Every piece of military technology. Or face the same fate as the sovereigns. Most surrendered. 10 did not. The images showed what happened to those 10. Ven had to look away. Her crew members were crying. We destroyed 273 civilizations in total, Keeper said. Some completely, others partially. When we were finished, we sent a message to the Galactic Council. A hologram of a human woman appeared. She wore a military uniform. Her eyes were cold and empty. I am Admiral Chen, the hologram said. Humanity is removing itself from galactic affairs. We are establishing an exclusion zone around our territory. No one is permitted to enter. No one is permitted to contact us. If you violate this boundary, we will consider it an act of war. And if you make us come out again, we will not stop until every species in this galaxy is extinct. We will finish what you made us start. The hologram disappeared. The lights came back on. Ven and her crew stood in shocked silence. That is why the galaxy fears us, Keeper said. Not because of our weapons. Not because of our victories. They fear us because we became something we hated. War changed us into monsters. We isolated ourselves to save the galaxy from us. And to save ourselves from what we had become. Ven found her voice. Are you still like that? Still. Monsters? We have been sleeping for 847 years, Keeper said. Trying to remember how to be human again. Trying to heal. But Captain Ven, you need to understand something important. What? The weapons are still here. The installations are still armed. And if we are threatened again, if we are forced to wake up in full, all that healing might disappear. We might remember only the anger. Only the rage. Only the killing. A new alarm sounded. The engineer checked his scanner. Captain, we have a problem. A big one. The engineer's voice was shaking. Captain, sensors are detecting massive power surges. All across human space. Hundreds of installations are waking up. Ven felt her stomach drop. Because we're here? Yes, Keeper answered calmly. Your presence triggered automatic protocols. The defense network is responding to an intrusion. But we meant no harm. Ven shouted. We're just salvagers. We're not an invasion force. The systems don't care about intentions, Keeper said. They only recognize facts. Fact, unauthorized vessels entered the exclusion zone. Fact, contact with human installations occurred. Fact, protocols must be followed. The tactical officer was staring at his display with wide eyes. Captain, we're surrounded. There are ships out there. Lots of ships. They were here the whole time. Invisible. Ven looked at her screens. One by one, vessels began appearing. They had been there all along, cloaked, hidden, watching. Sleek ships that looked like they were grown rather than built. Massive carriers that could hold entire fleets. Weapons platforms the size of moons. They've been following us since we crossed the boundary, Keeper confirmed. Observing, waiting, you were never alone. A communication signal cut through their systems. Every screen on the station showed the same image. A human woman in a military uniform. She looked exactly like the Admiral from the historical recording. But that was impossible. That recording was 847 years old. I am Admiral Chen, the woman said. Her voice was calm, almost friendly. You've had quite an adventure, Captain Ven. We've been watching your journey with interest. Ven found her voice. You're her. The one from the recordings. But that was almost 900 years ago. You should be dead. Chen smiled slightly. We solved the aging problem a long time ago. We also perfected suspended animation. My crew and I have been taking turns. Some sleep for decades while others watch. Then we switch. Time passes differently for us now. Why? Van asked.
Why maintain this vigil for so long?
Because we don't trust ourselves, Chen said simply. We removed ourselves from the galaxy because we were afraid of what we had become. But we also know the galaxy. We know that species forget. They get curious. They get greedy. So we watch. We make sure no one makes the mistake of thinking we're gone. We didn't mean to intrude, Ven said quickly. The distress beacon, we thought. You thought you'd find treasure, Chen interrupted. Technology to steal and sell. You thought the stories about humanity were exaggerations. You thought we were extinct or weak. She leaned forward. Were we? Ven swallowed hard. No. Good, at least you learned quickly. Chen's expression became serious. But we have a bigger problem now. Your presence here triggered our defense network, and your council noticed. A new display appeared showing space outside the exclusion zone. A large fleet was gathering. Council enforcement vessels from a dozen species. Hundreds of ships preparing to cross the boundary. They think we attacked you, Chen explained. They think you sent a distress call. Their protocols require them to investigate and rescue their citizens. They're preparing to enter human space. Ven's blood ran cold. But if they cross the boundary, then our defense systems will interpret it as an invasion, Chen finished. Automated stations across 200 worlds will activate fully. Weapons that have been sleeping for 847 years will wake up, and we will have no choice but to respond. You have to stop them, Ven pleaded. Tell them we're safe. Tell them to turn back. We've sent 20 messages, Chen said. They're not listening. The fleet is led by Ambassador Krelthos. He thinks this is his chance to prove the human threat is a myth. He wants to be the hero who breaks the superstition. The tactical officer interrupted. Captain, the council fleet is moving. They'll reach the boundary in 6 hours. Chen's image split, showing multiple views of human space. Everywhere, installations were powering up. Lights flickered on in stations that had been dark for centuries. Weapons charged. Ships emerged from hiding places. The entire human territory was coming alive. I've tried to stop this, Chen said. And for the first time, Ven heard emotion in her voice. Sadness. Regret. We've had 847 years of peace. 847 years to heal, to remember who we were before the wars. My crew, my people, we're different now. We've changed. We've learned. But if we're forced to fight, she didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Keeper's voice filled the station. Admiral, the defense network is requesting authorization codes. The automated systems want to know if they should engage preemptively. Negative, Chen said firmly. No preemptive action. We defend only. We are not the monsters anymore. We will not fire first. The probability of peaceful resolution is decreasing, Keeper warned. The council fleet will not turn back. Their pride is engaged. Ven had an idea. A desperate, crazy idea. Admiral Chen, what if we show them? What if we make them understand? Show them what? The truth. The history. Everything. Not through combat, but through knowledge. Keeper showed us the recordings. What if the council fleet could see what we saw? What if they could understand why the isolation exists? Chen was quiet for a moment. You think they would listen? I think they don't understand, Ven said. The young species, the ones who came after, we only know stories. We don't know the reality. Show us the reality and maybe we'll finally understand. Another voice cut into the communication. An old familiar voice, she's right. On the screens appeared Elder Counselor Cerethia. Her crystalline body was glowing bright white. She looked ancient and tired. I'm broadcasting to the council fleet, Cerethia said. I'm ordering them to stand down. But Krelthos won't listen to me. He thinks I'm a coward. He thinks he knows better. Then we show them together, Ven said. We broadcast the recordings. We make them see. Chen looked at Cerethia. Two beings from different times, different wars, different worlds. Slowly, Chen nodded. Keeper, prepare to broadcast the memory, Chen ordered. Full historical archives. Unedited. Send it to every ship in the council fleet. Make them see what their ancestors did. Make them see what we became. Make them understand. Compliance, Keeper responded. Chen looked directly at Ven. Thank you, Captain, for giving us a chance to choose peace again. But understand this. If they cross the boundary after seeing the truth, after understanding what we are, then we will have no choice. We will defend ourselves. and the universe will remember why it learned to tremble. On the displays, the Council fleet continued approaching. 6 hours until they reached the boundary. 6 hours to change the course of history. The broadcast began, sending 847 years of silence into the waiting galaxy. The broadcast reached the Council fleet like a wave of truth. On every ship, on every screen, the historical recordings played. Crew members stopped their work to watch. Pilots left their controls. Soldiers put down their weapons. They saw humanity's arrival to the stars. They saw the peaceful years. They saw the attacks, the slavery, the death, and they saw what came after. On the flagship, Ambassador Krelthos watched with his 4 eyes locked on the display. He watched the sovereign collective burn. He watched worlds go silent. He watched 273 civilizations fall to human rage. His second officer turned to him, mandibles trembling. "Ambassador, we should turn back." "We should—" "No," Krelthos said firmly. "This is propaganda. They're trying to scare us. They want us to believe they're invincible. But look, they're hiding. They've been hiding for 847 years. That's not strength. That's fear." But even as he spoke, his voice lacked certainty. On the research station, Ven watched the fleet's progress. They were 3 hours from the boundary now. Some ships had broken formation, slowing down, but most continued forward. "They're not stopping," she said desperately. "Why aren't they stopping?" "Pride," Admiral Chen answered. "The deadliest weapon in the universe. It makes species do stupid things." She touched a control panel. "Keeper, show them the simulation." Compliance, a new broadcast went out. This time it showed the future instead of the past. Computer projections of what would happen if the Council fleet crossed the boundary. The simulation was detailed, precise, and horrifying. It showed Council ships entering human space. It showed automated defenses activating. It showed weapons that bent space itself, that turned matter into energy, that reached through dimensions the Council didn't know existed. The simulation showed the Council fleet destroyed in minutes. Not hours, minutes, but it didn't stop there. The simulation showed the response spreading. Human ships emerging from their long sleep, angry at being awakened, angry at being threatened. It showed them moving beyond their borders. It showed Council worlds under siege. The simulation ended with a number. 127 species reduced to 89 within 1 year. On the flagship, Krelthos stared at the projection. His confidence wavered. "That's impossible," he whispered. "No species is that powerful." "They were," said a new voice. Elder Cerethia appeared on every screen in the fleet. Her ancient body was barely glowing now. She looked exhausted. "I fought in those wars," she said quietly. "My world supported the sovereigns. We thought we were strong. We thought our alliance made us invincible. The humans came to our system with 12 ships. Just 12. We had a defense fleet of 300 vessels. We thought we would win easily." She paused, and her voice cracked with old pain. "They destroyed our fleet in 4 hours. They didn't destroy our world. They didn't have to. They simply left us with a message. You have 1 year to surrender all military technology. If you refuse, we will return. We surrendered in 3 days. We've been a peaceful species ever since. Not by choice at first. By terror." Krelthos was shaking now. Around the fleet, ships began to slow down. Doubt spread like fire. "But they're different now," Cerethia continued. "I've been listening to Admiral Chen. I've heard the sadness in her voice. They isolated themselves not because they were afraid of us. They were afraid of themselves. They were afraid of what war had made them become." On the research station, Chen listened to Cerethia's words. Something in her expression softened. "The Elder is right," Chen said, broadcasting to both Ven and the Council fleet. "We've had 847 years to think about what we did, to regret it, to understand that strength without mercy is just cruelty. We don't want to fight you. We don't want to hurt anyone. We just want to be left alone until we're sure we can rejoin the galaxy without being a threat." She stood up and her voice became stronger. "But make no mistake, if you force us to defend ourselves, we will. And all the healing, all the peace we've built will disappear. We'll remember only the anger, the war, the killing. Is that what you want? Is your pride worth restarting a conflict that almost destroyed the galaxy?" 2 hours from the boundary, Krelthos looked at his fleet. He looked at the simulation results. He looked at the historical recordings still playing on side screens. He saw the truth he had been denying. His people had voted against helping humanity. His government had profited from the sovereign trade. His species had been complicit in the genocide that started the war. Slowly, painfully, he pressed the communication button. "All ships," he said, his voice heavy with shame. "Reduce speed. Prepare to reverse course, Ambassador?" his second officer asked in surprise. "We were wrong," Krelthos said. "I was wrong. They're not hiding because they're weak. They're hiding because they're strong. Too strong. And they're trying to protect us from themselves." He looked at the screen showing Admiral Chen. "We're turning back. We apologize for the intrusion. We understand now." But not all ships listened. 3 vessels broke formation and accelerated. Young captains, full of pride and anger, decided to prove they weren't afraid. They crossed the boundary. Every alarm in human space screamed. "No," Chen whispered. "Don't do this. Please don't do this." Automated systems locked onto the 3 ships. Weapons charged. In 2 seconds, those ships would cease to exist. Chen's hand moved faster than thought. She entered override codes, shutting down the automated defenses manually, bypassing protocols that had been in place for 847 years. Taking personal control, "Stand down," she shouted to her crew. "Do not fire. I repeat, do not fire." The 3 council ships crossed deeper into human territory, unaware of how close they had come to death. "Admiral, regulations require," one of her officers began. "I know what regulations require," Chen snapped. "I wrote half of them, but I'm not going to kill 3 ships full of fools and restart a war. We are better than that. We have to be better than that." She took a deep breath and opened a channel to the 3 ships. "Council vessels, you have 5 minutes to turn around and exit human space. This is your only warning. We are choosing not to destroy you. We are choosing peace. Don't make us regret that choice." The 3 ships, suddenly realizing they were still alive when they should be dead, turned and fled. Krelthos watched them retreat back to the main fleet. He felt shame deeper than he had ever known. Chen contacted him directly. "Ambassador, new treaties must be established. We cannot have incidents like this again." "Agreed," Krelthos said quietly. "What do you propose?" "Human space remains forbidden," Chen said. "But we will establish a neutral station at the boundary. Diplomatic contact only, through AI intermediaries like Keeper. No physical visits, no trade. Just communication. A way for both sides to talk without risk." "For how long?" Chen looked tired. "So very tired. Until we're ready. Until we're sure we've healed. Until we know we can walk among you without being a threat. Maybe another 100 years. Maybe 1,000. I don't know." "And if someone violates the boundary again?" Krelthos asked. "Then we defend ourselves," Chen said simply. "But we'll always choose warnings over weapons when we can. We'll always try peace first, because that's who we want to be." The council fleet withdrew. The crisis ended. Human space went silent again, but this time with a communication station blinking at the boundary, a small light in the darkness, a promise of future dialogue. Ven and her crew were escorted back to council space in a human vessel. Before they left, Chen spoke to Ven privately. "Thank you," Chen said. "You reminded us why we chose isolation, why we chose peace. You gave us a chance to prove we're not monsters anymore." "Will you ever come back?" Ven asked. "Will humans ever rejoin the galaxy?" Chen smiled sadly. "Maybe someday when we're ready. Tell your people we're still here. We're still watching. But we want to be better. We want to heal. Give us time. 50 years passed. The galaxy changed. Treaties were honored. The boundary was respected. The younger species learned the full truth of the human wars. Not just the myths. Fear remained, but it was mixed with understanding now, and respect." Then on a quiet morning, a message arrived at the council chambers. "This is Admiral Chen of humanity. We request permission to send observers to your council meetings. Not as members. Not as participants. Just as observers. We want to learn how the galaxy has changed. We want to see if we're ready to take the next step." The council voted. This time, the result was unanimous. Yes. A single human ship arrived 3 months later. It docked at the council station. 5 humans emerged, blinking in the light, seeing alien faces for the first time in 897 years. They were welcomed with caution, with fear, but also with hope. Admiral Chen was not among them. She had finally chosen to sleep, to rest, to let younger humans take the next steps. But her final message played at the welcoming ceremony. "We are not the species we were. We are not the monsters you remember. We are trying. We are healing. We ask for your patience. We ask for your understanding. And we promise never again will we let anger define us. Never again will we choose destruction over dialogue. We are humanity. And we are finally ready to try again. The universe still trembled at the memory, but now, mixed with that fear, was something new. Hope.